Every nation at some point confronts its demons. In El Salvador, the demons had names: MS-13, Barrio 18. They ruled the streets through fear. The country's response was not a new law. It was the construction of an abyss, a place designed not to rehabilitate, but to erase men from existence. This is the story of Cecot, and the terrifying question it forces us to ask: what is the true price of peace? Before Cecot, El Salvador was bleeding. The country had one of the highest rates of loss in the world. Gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 were not just criminal groups, they were armies that controlled entire neighborhoods, extorting money from residents and causing widespread suffering. Daily life was dictated by fear. Previous administrations had tried to negotiate with these groups, but they failed to bring lasting order. The chaos seemed like an incurable disease. In March 2022, under the administration of President Nayib Bukele, the strategy changed dramatically. The state declared total war. A massive crackdown was initiated, resulting in the imprisonment of over 70,000 individuals in just over a year, representing about 2% of the country's entire adult population. The solution to contain this human wave of detainees was the construction of something unprecedented: the Terrorism Confinement Center, or Cecot, a mega prison with a capacity for 40,000 prisoners, built to house the highest-profile criminals. The message was clear. For those who entered, life as they knew it was over. There would be no escape. The transfer of prisoners to Cecot was a nightly, heavily coordinated operation. Thousands of gang members, sitting one behind the other with their heads bowed, formed a single human mass surrounded by armed guards. They were described by authorities not as people, but as animals, psychopaths, and sociopaths. Their lives had changed in a single day. Among them was one of the most ruthless gang leaders, known as Psycho, whose personal story serves as a glimpse into the mentality the system was now trying to crush. Cecot is not just a prison, it is a work of psychological engineering designed to annihilate hope. Let's analyze its architecture, our artifact of study. The facility is composed of 8 modules spread across 410 acres. Each pair of modules is surrounded by 2 separate 3-meter-high walls with barbed wire. The entire complex is encased by an imposing 9-meter-high wall, crowned with a 3-meter-high electric fence carrying 15,000 volts. 19 watchtowers ensure that nothing escapes view. But the grim genius of the design lies in the details. Jammers block any and all communication signals within a 2-kilometer radius, completely isolating the prison from the outside world. The ground between the walls is not grass or dirt, but covered in pebbles. The reason is functional and brutal. If a prisoner somehow managed to get through all the security rings, the sound of their steps on the pebbles would work as a primitive and infallible alarm system. The design doesn't just prevent escape. As one guard stated, it erases the very idea of it. The entry process is a ritual of dehumanization. New prisoners are subjected to a full-body search, including a high-capacity X-ray scanner that reveals bones and internal organs, ensuring no forbidden object is smuggled inside the body. They lose all their belongings. Their heads are shaved. They are given an identical white uniform, shorts, and flip-flops. From that moment on, they lose their names, their affiliations, their tattoos that once signified power and loyalty. They lose all contact with their loved ones for the rest of their lives, as family visits are strictly forbidden. They become part of an anonymous mass. To understand what was lost, we must look at our mirror case, the life of Marvin, or Psycho, before and after Cecot. Marvin's criminal record began at age 11. He describes a childhood without a father figure, where poverty led him to seek help and identity on the streets, finding them in a gang. He became a high-ranking member of MS-13, responsible for a number of victims that he himself admits is probably more than 50. He was a man who made decisions, who had power. Now in Cecot, he is just another face in the crowd. The last time he saw his son, the boy was 5. Now the son is 21. The former leader, who once showed no emotion, now admits that he lies on his metal bunk and sometimes cries when thinking of his lost family. Inside the modules, life is a programmed monotony. Each cell, designed for about 80 prisoners, can hold up to 150 men in 4-level metal bunks without a mattress or pillow. They have only 0.5 square meters of personal space. There are no courtyards for recreation. The lights stay on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for constant monitoring, forcing prisoners to cover their eyes with towels to get some sleep. The only time they leave their cells is for 1 hour a week, for activities in an internal courtyard, under the watch of armed guards. The diet is poor and repetitive, usually beans, rice and pasta, with no nutritious foods like chicken or meat. Even rival gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18, who killed each other on the streets, are now forced to live side by side in a tense silence until the end of their lives. The appearance of the prisoners, according to the interviewers, is that of an emptiness in their souls, with no hope for the future. The question that arises is, does this extreme method work? The results in statistical terms are undeniable. El Salvador, which once had the highest rate of life loss in the world at 104 deaths per 100,000 people, saw that number plummet dramatically. In 2023, the rate fell to 2.4 per 100,000, placing El Salvador among the safest countries in the world for the first time in its recent history. Peace has, in fact, returned to the neighborhoods that were once war zones. But this peace comes at a price, and herein lies the moral dilemma of Cecot'S. During the massive crackdown, the transcript itself admits that a small number of innocent people were mistakenly imprisoned. With the prison's no-contact policy, their families have no idea where they are or if they are still alive. For them, the new system of justice did not bring peace, but a nightmare of uncertainty. The machine created to crush the guilty, in its fury, ended up devouring the innocent as well. The story of Cecot'S leaves us at a philosophical crossroads. Does it represent a lasting solution, or just a temporary fix? Is it justice or a form of control that oversteps the bounds of human rights? The world watches El Salvador, some with admiration for the courage to take drastic measures, others with horror at the methods employed. The answer for now remains obscure. What is undeniable is that the country has become the epicenter of one of the most important debates of our time. To get rid of its monsters, does a nation have the right to create a system that is monstrous in its efficiency, where hope, individuality, and perhaps the soul itself are the price to be paid for security?